Welcome to Dungeon Master. And I'm afraid if there was an episode 99, it wasn't as good as this release that is now Dungeon Master 99. Like 99 bananas, for instance. And I'll tell you, we've got a deal of a Wizards of the Coast promotionaticum with this interesting, leisurely film quest to find the great Dungeon Master animation. And though this be wrought from Wizards of the Coast other game, Magic the Gathering, I have sworn that the 3D animation you're about to see and are already watching is so beautiful and so meticulous and so rubber-stamped with the core of wonderful filmmaking. And I'm not a critic, I'm a dungeon master. And to get past these boss battles and these kind of things that we'll be expecting in the last 13 Dungeon Masters, and I have to admit, I'm getting old. I'm definitely getting boring. I'm getting full of my own machinations and not difficult enough on my machinations, and I'm not ready for the limelight. I'm just ready for a boss fight. Who's with me? Now, if this one's heavily veneered on the magic females, where I tell you is the whole party that was once Dungeon Master and now is before. And if we can spellitize this to the sequential matter. Oh, come on, you know I'm just BSing my way through this. I am the Dungeon Master, but I've never been this far in my own game. This is as far as I've come in my own game, and I used to have a different host teach it till the end, and then Dungeon Master would disappear. As though all the files... Oh, here's a book I'm writing. It's very interesting. It looks like there's typos all throughout it. I must see if my typecaster was still working today, because she quit with a loquacious grin on her face saying, "You're not cool enough for me, Dungeon Master. I may not ever separate you from the real Dungeon Masters and all this that I'm in the Dungeon Master Guild. I think a bit of apology needs to be taken on my own taste of typecasters. And that's just a type master. But once the book has been bedraggled, we can ride it back up to compunction, even with the missing book lists that they thought would stop me from remembering how easy it was I was going to make a new one of those. So Dungeon Master comes in a little bedraggled, not certain of what happened to level 99, and was it a good one? And now I'm here in level 99 and I'm winning a boss battle, so just let me win this boss battle. And I just won it. There, you can all have your hearing back. Come on now. And I wonder if anyone will notice in this pre-apocalyptical scenario, which means the apocalypse is happening soon but hasn't yet. The pre-apocalyptic scenarios are what you've got to watch out for in games, because they will always throw you from the extra stereotyping that typical animation has brought us from the days of Phantasmagoria, even by Emil Cole. We've come to this Dungeon Master Inferno of Magic the Gathering shapes and images that I hoped you and my friends that are playing music back there, thank you, band, that's Stereoland, And would you believe it? We're coursing through the veins of history to fly this electronic kite. And though it's a bowling ball now, I will take it because it looks like my old Pokemon machine, and we all know what happened with Pokemon. It was demolished. It was reamed and separated. And it was forced into, well, Zendikar Rising. I didn't notice that. Yeah, I did really good on Pokemon, but interestingly enough, there is actually something going on that I'd like to see with these Wizards of the Coast products that are even Magic the Gathering. But we must stay close to each other. On a level like this, it could get rough up ahead. I'm already rough and toothless, and I don't think you're tough and ruthless, so let's get through this and steal jokes from other movies, because that's all I got, okay? I'm out of script notes. We're on level 99. I could only make like 10 jokes for the whole series, and that was all 10 of them just now. So I ruined the humor in this show. We might as well go through it the hard way. Does he have the master lockpick? I don't know if he's broken into cars before. I don't think in this pre-apocalyptic world there are cars anymore. And oh, to wonder, the agenda of these filmmakers to tell us what to wear, what to look like, what to be like, who to be at every moment, and I say buy it all with a can of brisk. You'll know what I mean when you get into that lemon iced tea. And I know that Mormons forbid iced tea. And as soon as you got to the church and thought you were one, you tried the iced tea in front of them, and they knew you would only be second in command rather than the leader of the whole church, so you couldn't deal with second best. Oh, and this is another, it's not even boss battles, it's like some CGI impresario is going on here. Nobody knows who directed this. If this was directed by AI, then I think AI is not half bad for making this movie. But if AI did make it, I'm not really sure what they're actually saying, and that it's silent film without the titles, just because early in this game we lost our hearing board, and that's good because it made us trample about, well, I won't discuss the past. Once it's in the past, you bury it, you leave it in the behind. You only talk about new things now, because if you start talking about Dungeon Master 1 and Dungeon Master 2, you'll get to the Pokemon game again, which has the same directions as Magic the Gathering. And you'll disapprove of Dungeon Master's record score. This is some other dude's record score that was better. But I had the best one, I guess, and that other dude had a better one. So we'll just leave it alone and know that in the IGN books there lies a Dungeon Master with Pokemon at the beginning. You're asking, what can't he do? One is fall asleep while making this, because I'd really like to, and I just, oh, excuse me, I gotta fall asleep. That boy, that woke me up. Oh, jeez, I didn't mean to scare anyone. What just happened? Did that guy's eyes turn beady? How long have I been asleep? Oh, Dungeon Master asleep at the wheel. Don't say Magic the Gathering without saying Wizards of the Coast. I mean, they're hidden somewhere in the insignia, right? It's only because it's their biggest industry next to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and here Magic and Dungeons and Dragons meet in the beguiling world of Dungeon Master. Not to be like the other Dungeon Masters, like that one movie promoted was talking about how they had Dungeon Masters in their basement. I don't want to hear about it. This is the true deal. I'm leading you through a quest, not leading you to do whatever you want. Jeez. You can't do whatever you want in Dungeon Master. There are boundaries and parallels and thresholds that you can't supersede, otherwise you'll get all bedraggled and drink a bottle of whiskey on top of it, and then I'll be accused of having the breath of the ancient mariner because I've been drinking some ancient Marina, you know what I mean? But that's not enough, for I will now have to face the informable Alcoholics Anonymous teacher, who will tell me again that prohibition was a good idea until the gangsters came to ruin it. And now the new gangsters are AA, so back off from your alky dude. He didn't sound convincing to me, so I threw him to the hell dogs and they lashed about. But they didn't eat him, they actually quit drinking milk because hellhounds need pure rabbit stew to make them run. And I'm sorry, but if I was in a dungeon like that with guru howlers, then I'd get out of there before Thoreau spawn. Death, escape your fate. Yes, we can read. Some of the things on the screen are making no sense. And here we are, on another plate, on another ramp, on another vista. Until tomorrow, there is a new form of twisted chicanery, with the hope of brouhahaing my cacophony. It's the chaos of a joke when it goes too far, and I confess I had an 11th joke for that, but Magic the Gathering is, or a company I cannot say because I work for, shows me these beautiful, coming true soon to the pre-apocalypse. I know, we did all that post-apocalyptic Fallout shiznit on Dungeon Master. I'm not denying that we didn't do some post-apocalyptic shiznit. But you can tell this is pre-apocalyptic. I mean, look at the signs. They're shooting fire from their hands. They're getting knocked over by blue energy. That they're out in a field looking like Zelda, but it's a chick and she's throwing an axe around. This has got to be sometime about the Middle Ages, which is where all films and books are set from now on, because you can only have that kind of a Prince Caspian battle if you do it that way, right? And, I'm not trying to diss on anything that my friends at YouTube Creators would love, so we love it all. But we especially love Magic the Gathering of the Wizards of the Coast, because it gives us that one opportunity, and there may be more at the looks of it, to sail through a dungeon master unharmed and unarmed. And watch out below! Oh, she didn't hear me. He must have hit the cameraman with that ice. Because they're ice, baby. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Ice, baby. Hey, I got nothing against white rappers, okay? Jeez. Get me all wound up over white rappers like I'm supposed to be the cause or efficient effect or finished mode for all these costume designers who actually put meticulous care and timing into the building of a costume for either for a computer being or a human being, which sometimes a human being costume is harder. The video game costume is not easy either, but I won't go into CGI and 3D printing and all this strange Hansel and Gretel cookies on the table. And look, it's Cookie Man. Is this Shrek? Where am I? And how did we get to level 99? And did someone leave this bottle of 99 bananas behind? And where's my book list? And oh, I've got to have a talking to some people on the outside. Look, we're on the inside. We're inside of Dungeon Master. This is where the mirror lamp has taken this submarine to see, and I think it's cool that there's cookies dancing. I mean, why shouldn't that be? Are you pissed there's cookies dancing? Does that normally piss you off? Because to me, that guy's saying I just got crunched. That's not very funny to see a cookie crumble. But let's follow them and see where this next adventure takes us to. And honestly, they make me want to take a bite. Oh, it's the Knights of the Round. Coming into Journey. Oh, they got blown up by a blow-up guy. It's a blow-up guy. right? Okay, lame. I see when my jokes are lame. You're right. My jokes aren't always funny. Sometimes they're lame, but if I talk about it, then they get really lame. And then you blame me at home for sitting around talking about my jokes when all that's really happening is a couple of cookies are being thrown plates at. And you think this somehow doesn't match with my game of magic? Why, this is practically what it looks like every time, although you can't have two games the same way twice. Even if you plan it and coordinate it, there's no way to cheat at Pokemon. I mean Magic the Gathering, and I'm not just trying to sit around taking my Pokemon score to the rep, because, well, I beat Pokemon in the fastest time in Dungeon Master. 8 or 9. I don't even remember. It was 8 or 9. I should know this. Look, if you really think this show is directed and written, then why isn't there a title at the beginning that says directed and written by? Couldn't anybody, any old dog, claim this to be theirs? Well, not exactly, because it still fits in my timeline as though I recorded it at this time. So, I'll be droggled. You can't quite... Whoa, she's falling into Mount Doom. We were just talking about Mount Doom earlier. There's this book I'm writing. It's so far close to the end. Chapter 14. That's a lot of chapters. For a normal-sized book can be up to 25 chapters, and even shorter than some of these masquerades and heroic accounts of how far the text will travel before you drop the gavel. And I know, as Dungeon Master, I've taken the liberties in the past week of explaining to a few friends that I've had to cut back on the work, but that's not true. The work was all there. It was music. It was these other things that were getting in my way. And this is really weird that there's Cookie stabbing people, but, you know, if a Cookie's going to fight back, a Cookie's going to fight back. What are you going to do? But I'm still behind it at the book game. I didn't mean to say I was canceling. I just felt really old, and since I'm 199 years old, that puts me 800 years less than Methuselah, which I'm really trying to beat Methuselah's score at being the oldest man ever. But I already look older than Methuselah because everybody knows Methuselah is a fake character just to make us think that people can age that long. Ugh. I hate it when books make me think people can age a long time. It always pisses me off because then I die at like age 198 and come back at 199. Like, what was I doing for that year in between, huh? I asked you. Was I building boss battles like this? And how do those sequential, rising and falling of an epic deep beside me, and looms in the maneuvering of all things drastic, I have to take attention to the game and not the game coming to an end, because when the game comes to an end, it will come to an end as it will. But if I keep betrothing it and say this is this, and I had a funny joke yesterday, and this strange looking rat person is on the TV, and then this isn't even a TV, who knows what it is, it's too bright and brilliant. Look at these colors, I've never seen anything like it. It's in 4K resolution on your TV too, isn't it? Turn your 4K buttons to 4K, because this is 4K. And I understand things within its premise have gotten boring sometimes and gone backwards and fully over my head. And I'm in over my head. I mean, making the last 13 episodes or 14 episodes of Dungeon Master has already got me in such a flurry that I take the treatment of the rules of the Wizard of Oz that are being so used and used and used again that they never get old, because if you use something it gets new, basically not old. If I use this card that I've tapped till now, it's like a brand new card all of a sudden, and I'm refreshed. Well, I gotta take a nap real quick. You guys enjoy Dungeon Master for a minute. Sorry, I stayed up late studying for exams, and I did pretty good, like B+. They say they'll still graduate me with a B. I hate getting B's. I love getting A's. But I bet you're like me that you've only had a couple of bees and never any others. Well, there was a couple of bees in my dungeon today, and they were big ones. Killer surfboards they were riding on. And whether I've been stung in the last few days is for you to decide. But I do sound kind of scraggly in my old dungeon mastering. It seems like just yesterday we kicked off Dungeon Master 1 and it made about as much sense as this one. But improvements were made along the way. And now we've reached this kind of home improvement episode that's so far gone that we forgot that Tim the Toolman Taylor wasn't actually hanging out with the devil herself, that the devil herself avoids Tim the Toolman Taylor because he runs such a model house of America. And now we look into her eyes and she looks scraggly. And we go to jump the fence and nothing's there. I told you this is pre-apocalypse. And yet, we've come 2/3 through this sort of shorter dungeon that could have been the Dungeon of Eternity, which I think we're skipping in Dungeon Master because, quite frankly, I don't have the time to make the Dungeon of Eternity. If it lasts an eternity, then that means it's got to be recording the whole length of history, which we all know cameras have been recording since the dawn of time. But that we sent cameras back in time that were drones to record and got messages like these. These are the simple images I want you to remember when all goes to gone and Dungeon Master fades into the background as nothing more than the hardest freaking game you ever had to play just by paying attention. Nobody's paying attention. And that's what I like about you, is you turn this on, your kids laugh, and you pay no attention to the recycled material, which none of this has been seen anyway. It's been dredged off of the makers of all things, YouTube. And that is where we stand with Blue Man versus the Knight of Shades. And this is like a Game of Thrones moment. Let's see if he's going to make it across the chasm. I don't know, but what she's doing standing there is making me nervous. So, either you're with me, or you're not with me, or you're kind of with me and kind of not with me. Or you're kind of not with me and kind of with me, but not always with me. Or kind of always with me. Either way, and that lists all 8 categories that I've put up in this sort of imperative of categories. And now we see the choices you have made have got us to this 3D animation that we no longer have a tryst about. We know that these are the factors that put us in the running of all things stupendous. And there was a level 99, but because of certain issues with it, this is the new 99. So wear it as you share it. And I'm trying to get these Dungeon Masters on track to be your favorite ones, but everybody's got their favorite, and it's all over a list of exploited, strange links to Videodumb. And I'm so sweaty from this. What is that, a Bagrol? A Bogrul? A Balrog, yes, she's fighting the Balrog with the cheetah arms. And I'm okay with that. Even if I see these strange panels on the right that don't look like they have much to do, but do have everything to do with this episode. Or part. Insert tape B! So she's standing at the brisk of time and she's looking out over a field and she waves her sword around and oh sorry, there were no cuts in that last part, but I had to start the audio over because somehow I didn't know which loop I was using where, and it suddenly came out that I had okay traction to follow along with this kind of warped fashion of distant video acclaim. And it isn't for anything but defeating Pokemon, the Magic the Gathering, the Wizards of the Coast games. All the way to now, which is Dungeon Master, and it's not the type of Dungeon Master that those sick and loony types play in their basement. No, I don't want to know about that. That's some Hollywood movie that I've left to the horror filmmakers, which is a business I'm slowly getting out of because the horror film makes all my fans think I'm actually a good director, and really I'm only a Dungeon Master. But look at this. There in his eyes, deep within, we've gone within the trail and we're running around. I mean, the visuals. I mean, just turn my sound off. Just turn my sound off and watch the image. You don't need my sound. You need the music that we've added, somehow sprinkled in. And we need the picture. The beautiful picture. But my haranguing and hanging on can only guide you so far through the dungeon. Now that it's Dungeon 99, I might as well tell you I can't hold your hand through every dungeon and take you there, although I will do that because you requested me to, but I really don't see how relevance in nature or relevance beyond control is really some kind of a hinky doodle for me to put my hand on and just say, this is what I'm playing, and how I'm controlling it with my hands is really interesting because it's a kind of game that you can use and spread open and see what kind of pictures you really have. And I'm gonna adjust this a little bit and fly up here with my angels. And okay, I don't like playing that way because it's like that Nintendo Wii thing, and it makes me use black magic all the time to barrage the game, and I don't want to deal with these. In the arms of the angel. Oh, sorry, one of my favorite songs. I kind of have a raspy voice, though. They don't tell me to sing anything anymore. I don't even sound as good as anyone. I just need a little time of my own. And I'm sure you'll understand, because we've gotten you through this far. And we've showed you the pre-apocalypse, pre-release of the pre-apocalypse. And though it chills with me to the bone to see these wandering images of non-compromising entertainment and commercial viability of these rather standing commercial trailer previews of the magic which comes from the Wizards, which I'm telling you about redundantly, although redundance is a key form of advertising, and I'm not trying to be all hunky-doodle deconstructionist about it. I'm looking at this guy in the yellow eyes and saying, you're gonna sell video games, and you're gonna sell card games, and you guys are the true sellers of card games and video games. And that's because this is a card game and a video game, and we're watching it, and that's like selling it. Once you watched it, you're paying money to watch it. You're paying money on the internet. Every moment the internet's on, we're watching and paying money for the internet, and that's why we're all broke. But I can tell you, just because we're broke doesn't mean we're not fun to hang out with. You know what I mean? And I don't know. Not all my friends were there for me on the last battle, Dungeon Master. When I came into round 112, the last one, and I had failed up my 99 scene every time, I passed it to Dungeon Master 100, and I said, this is where I'm going to really climb. Climb, 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 Jacob's Ladder. Climb, 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 Tower of Babel. Those are the two most climbable. And they weren't only in the muck books of the Miction. There were other tales of those places which I have abandoned in mind. But I must tell you, Dungeon Master fans and people becoming Dungeon Masters everywhere and playing the Magic the Gathering level like this, and there were other levels where magic was kind of freeze-frame toyed with. But now we are getting through evenly, through this parallel dimension of what is set before on us about the ringing of a certain name that doesn't come to me. Oh, it's your name. Who's watching now? There's one person in LA whose name is Arbitroid. And it's like Arthur and Troy combined, but it's Arbitroid. And he's like a robot. And he's built out of straw, and you wind him with a wicker basket, and he goes running through the stage looking like a teenage ninja. And that's just how people turn out when they're not fully focused on Magic the Gathering. And I wasn't fully focused, so I'm thinking, well, we could leave it on a cliffhanger. We could sell the cards somehow. I see you were in the Bells of Hill. You know what? I'm just gonna say, once we're through this part, we're through that part. All right, once we're through this part, no, we can't miss an action of it, can we? Let us look at the board. The board of exam is all in this, and I've done nothing but dribble on about how I like these graphics, and that's why I love this game, and Dungeon Master's getting more exciting, and all I'm doing is corrupting into my old Crypt Keeper type antics, and y'all just gonna sit there and say, is this really not the great game, Dungeon Master? Was that you once, Dungeon Master? Didn't you have Pokemon in your hands, Dungeon Master? And there's a Pokemon feather, and to that we say, see you in 100. Dungeon Master 100, coming soon. Love you all. Everything was kind of tongue-in-cheek, don't you think?